Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a story that's going to send shivers down your spine and make you question everything you thought you knew about pets. We're talking about a man, a wolf, and a warning that should have been heeded. Get ready because this is the tale of Marcus Thornwood and the beast known as Shadow. Marcus Thornwood wasn't your average wealthy collector. Oh no, he was obsessed with the extraordinary, the unique, the utterly captivating. His sprawling estate on the edge of Ashford City wasn't just a house. It was a living, breathing museum of exotic creatures from every corner of the globe. Imagine a private zoo, but for a man whose tastes ran to the truly wild and wondrous. But amongst all his prized possessions, there was one that truly held his fascination, one that would change his life forever. It all started with a mysterious encounter in the remote, mist-shrouded mountains of Eastern Europe. Marcus, ever on the hunt for his next marvel, stumbled upon a trader. This wasn't your typical merchant. His eyes held a wary wisdom. His hands trembled as he presented Marcus with a small, unassuming bundle. Inside, a wolf pup. But not just any wolf pup. The trader's voice was low, laced with an undeniable tremor, as he warned Marcus. "This is no ordinary wolf, sir. Keep it contained or face consequences beyond imagination." Now Marcus, with his scientific mind and disdain for what he considered superstitious nonsense, simply brushed off the warning. He saw a magnificent specimen, a rare addition to his collection, not a prophecy of doom. He paid handsomely, took the pup, and named him Shadow. Back at his estate, Marcus spared no expense. Shadow was housed in a reinforced enclosure, a fortress designed to hold even the most cunning and powerful of predators. For 2 years, Shadow grew, seemingly just like any other wolf, albeit perhaps a touch larger, a little more intelligent than average. Marcus would spend hours by the enclosure, mesmerized. Shadow's silver-gray eyes would track his every movement with an unsettling awareness, a depth that hinted at something more than mere animal instinct. It was captivating. A silent conversation between man and beast, a bond that Marcus believed was based on respect and dominion. He was proud of Shadow, of the magnificent creature he had raised. But pride, as they say, often comes before a fall. And fall Marcus did right into a nightmare he could never have predicted. Everything changed dramatically on the night of Shadow's 3rd birthday. Marcus was jolted awake by a sound that pierced the quiet night. A sound that resonated deep in his bones and chilled him to the core. It was a howl so profound, so powerful that it shook the very windows of his bedroom. Not a mournful howl, but something ancient, primal, a declaration of raw, untamed power. He scrambled out of bed, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs, and rushed to Shadow's enclosure. What he saw there would forever be etched into his memory, a vision of impossible horror. The reinforced steel bars, designed to withstand immense force, were bent outward like flimsy paper clips, twisted and torn as if by an invisible colossal hand. And then he saw Shadow. The wolf pup he had raised was gone. In its place stood a creature of nightmare. Shadow had grown, not just a little, but to an impossible, terrifying size overnight. He now stood nearly 8 feet tall at the shoulder, a towering behemoth of muscle and fur. His teeth, no longer merely sharp, had transformed into gleaming daggers of ivory, each one as long as a human forearm, glinting menacingly in the eerie moonlight. The sheer scale, the sudden unnatural transformation was mind-boggling, a defiance of all natural laws. Those same silver eyes Marcus had found so captivating now held something entirely different. The unsettling awareness was still there, but now it was mixed with a wild, untamed intelligence, and a primal hunger that made his blood run cold. It wasn't just an animal looking at him. It was something ancient, something that had awoken. Before Marcus could even process the full scope of this horrific transformation, before he could scream or even move, Shadow moved. With an effortless, terrifying grace, the colossal beast leaped over the mansion walls, a feat that should have been impossible, and disappeared into the darkness of Ashford City. The ground beneath Marcus's feet trembled with each thunderous stride of the massive creature as it bounded away, heading straight for the unsuspecting downtown district. Marcus stood frozen, a statue of pure terror and dawning realization. The traitor's warning, dismissed as superstitious nonsense, now echoed in his mind with terrifying clarity. Keep it contained, or face consequences beyond imagination. He had failed. He had not heeded the warning, and now a creature of unimaginable power was unleashed upon his city. His hands, slick with cold sweat, fumbled for his phone, shaking uncontrollably as he tried to dial emergency services. But who would believe him? Who could possibly comprehend, let alone stop, a creature of such terrifying proportions? What words could even begin to describe the monstrosity that was now loose? As the first distant wail of sirens began to cut through the night, growing louder with each passing second, Marcus knew with chilling certainty that his life and the lives of countless others would never be the same. The beast he had kept as a pet, the creature he had so foolishly underestimated, was now unleashed, a force of nature bent on unknown destruction. And Marcus, alone in the chilling silence of his ruined enclosure, bore the crushing weight of responsibility for whatever devastation would follow. What an incredible and chilling story, right? It just goes to show you that some warnings are there for a reason, and sometimes the extraordinary comes with a price far greater than gold. What do you think happened next in Ashford City? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story and want to hear more thrilling tales, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and stay curious. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a story that sounds like it's ripped straight from a blockbuster movie, but it's a tale that will leave you thinking about responsibility, consequences, and the raw power of nature. Get ready, because we're heading into Ashford City, where one man's ambition unleashed chaos in a way no one could have predicted. Imagine waking up to news reports not of traffic or weather, but of pure, unadulterated pandemonium. That's what happened in Ashford City. Within the hour, the first reports started flooding in. Something massive, something terrifying, was tearing through the city's eastern marketplace. This wasn't your average animal escape, this was Shadow, a colossal wolf moving with unbelievable speed and power. We're talking about a creature so immense that its paws left craters in the asphalt, and its teeth snapped through steel lampposts like they were delicate twigs. Can you even picture that? The sheer force. His howls, they weren't just noises. They echoed through the concrete canyons of the city like thunder, sending shivers down everyone's spine. By dawn, Ashford City was in utter chaos. The streets, usually bustling with life, were now a landscape of overturned vehicles, shattered storefronts, and even a small bridge on the outskirts of town demolished. It sounds like a scene from an apocalypse movie, right? But here's the most astounding part: the incredible glimmer of hope in all this destruction. Miraculously, no one had been killed. That's right. Despite the sheer scale of the rampage, the immediate devastation, the worst had been averted. However, dozens were injured, caught in the panicked stampedes, testament to the fear and confusion that gripped the city. What was truly perplexing, though, was Shadow's behavior. He seemed less interested in hunting or attacking people directly, and more focused on sheer destruction. It was almost as if he was releasing years, maybe even a lifetime, of pent-up rage from his confinement. This wasn't just an animal on the loose. This was a force of nature driven by an almost primal fury. The authorities, bless their hearts, were completely helpless. Police and animal control, usually so effective, found themselves up against something they had never encountered. Tranquilizer darts, their usual go-to, simply bounced off Shadow's thick hide. Bullets, astonishingly, seemed to barely penetrate his fur. This creature wasn't just big, it was resilient, almost impervious. Shadow moved through the city like an unstoppable force, a living, breathing, natural disaster. News helicopters hovering above captured unbelievable footage of this massive wolf leaping between buildings, his dark silhouette stark against the rising sun. It was a sight that would be forever burned into the memories of Ashford City residents. Now let's talk about the man behind this unexpected disaster, Marcus. He wasn't some villain mastermind. He was someone who made a terrible, terrible mistake. Marcus had turned himself in to the authorities immediately, confessing everything. Can you imagine the weight of that confession? As he sat in the police station, watching the destruction unfold on television screens, the guilt must have been absolutely crushing. City officials had already estimated damages in the millions. Millions. Think about the ripple effect. Families had lost their businesses, their livelihoods, everything they had worked for. Children had been traumatized, their sense of safety shattered. All because of his arrogance, his obsession with possessing the exotic, his desire to control something wild and magnificent that was never meant to be contained. The mayor of Ashford City appeared on television, her face etched with a mixture of grave concern, anger, and unwavering determination. Her words were clear. The owner of this creature will face the full consequences of his criminal negligence. We are declaring a state of emergency. Military units are being deployed to track and neutralize this threat. The stakes had just been raised dramatically. This was no longer just an animal control issue. It was a citywide crisis. As Marcus watched armed soldiers taking positions throughout the city, the true magnitude of his mistake, his oversight, his pride, truly hit him. It wasn't just about the financial damages or the trauma. It was about the potential loss of life, not just human, but shadows too. And that's where the story takes another turn, highlighting a complex human emotion. Despite everything, despite the chaos Shadow had caused, the creature had once been in Marcus's care. He had failed to protect both the wolf and the city from this disaster. The weight of responsibility, a crushing burden, descended upon him as he was led to a holding cell. There he would await trial, not just for the destruction, but for the profound failure his pride had unleashed. This story isn't just about a rampaging wolf. It's a powerful reminder about the responsibility that comes with our choices, especially when we interact with nature's wild beauty. It's a call to respect the untamed and to understand that some things are just not meant to be possessed. It's a testament to the resilience of a community facing an unimaginable crisis and the heavy price of ambition unchecked. What do you think about Marcus's actions and the mayor's response? Do you believe Shadow could have been handled differently? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story compelling, please give us a like. Share this video with your friends and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories and discussions. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a story that's more than just a tale of a beast. It's about understanding, redemption, and the true cost of trying to cage what was always meant to be free. Get ready for the incredible saga of Shadow, the colossal wolf, and the city he forever changed. Picture this. Ashford City, a bustling urban center, suddenly plunged into fear. For 3 terrifying days, a creature known only as Shadow, a wolf of gargantuan proportions, wreaked havoc. Buildings crumbled, panic spread, and the city's military, despite all their advanced technology and training, couldn't lay a single hand on him. He was a phantom, a force of nature, a legend in the making, and a nightmare unfolding before their very eyes. The news channels were ablaze, social media was exploding with theories, and the people of Ashford lived in constant fear, wondering when and where Shadow would strike next. Sleep was a luxury, and peace of mind, a distant memory. This wasn't just an animal gone wild. This was a spectacle, an enigma, an almost mythical challenge to human dominance. But then, on the 4th morning, something happened that no one, absolutely no one, could have predicted. The massive wolf, the elusive terror of Ashford, chose to reveal himself. Not in a shadowy alley or a deserted park, but right in the heart of the city, the central plaza. And he wasn't there to attack, not directly anyway. This wasn't a random appearance. It was an arrival orchestrated by fate or perhaps by something far more profound within the beast itself. At that very moment, a man named Marcus was being led through that same plaza. Chains clinked around his wrists and ankles, his head bowed in defeat, on his way to court for trial. Marcus, you see, was Shadow's former keeper, the man responsible for raising this magnificent, yet now terrifying creature. The city, perhaps the world, had questions about how such a beast could come to be, and why it had unleashed such destruction. All eyes, and countless television cameras were fixed on Marcus, capturing every agonizing step of his public humiliation. The stage was set not just for a trial but for a confrontation that would redefine everything. As Marcus, a figure of utter despair, was paraded across the plaza, a hush fell over the terrified crowd. And then, there he was. Shadow. The colossal wolf emerged from the morning mist, a living legend materializing before their very eyes. He stood majestically atop a demolished fountain, a monument to his own destructive power, his enormous form silhouetted against the rising sun. It was an image that would forever be seared into the city's collective memory, a symbol of primal strength against urban fragility. His fur, a deep, dark obsidian, seemed to absorb the light, making him appear even more imposing, more ancient. He looked less like an animal and more like a mythical guardian or a vengeful spirit. The air crackled with a strange, terrifying energy. The crowd, initially stunned into silence, erupted into screams. Panic surged through the plaza like a tidal wave. People scattered, desperate to escape the wrath of the beast that had held their city hostage for days. But Shadow didn't move. He didn't pounce, didn't charge, didn't even growl in aggression. His silver eyes, ancient and piercing, were locked onto Marcus, and Marcus, frozen between his armed guards, could only stare back. In those eyes, he didn't just see ferocity. He saw something else. Something he hadn't seen in years. Intelligence. And to his utter astonishment, something that looked almost like recognition. It was a moment suspended in time, a silent communication between man and beast, witnessed by a trembling city. Then Shadow's gaze drifted downwards. He saw the cold, unforgiving steel of the chains binding Marcus's wrists and ankles. He saw the fresh bruises marring Marcus's face, the deep lines of defeat etched into his posture. The mighty wolf's ears, usually pricked with alert power, flattened against his skull. And then he released it. A mournful howl. Not a roar of aggression, but a sound that spoke of deep, profound sorrow, a lament that seemed to vibrate through the very stones of the plaza. It was a sound that silenced the entire city, instantly extinguishing the screams and the chaos. In that single heartbreaking moment, it seemed as though the creature understood the gravity of the situation, the consequence of his actions. Marcus was being punished for the destruction that Shadow himself had caused. This wasn't just a random act of an animal. It was a mirror reflecting the devastating impact of his own rage. The great beast took one tentative step toward Marcus, his massive paws thudding softly on the ground, then stopped. His huge teeth were bared not in aggression, not in a snarl of attack, but in what looked like anguish. It was a silent cry, a profound expression of pain and regret that transcended the boundaries of species. Shadow had never wanted to hurt anyone, not truly. Years of cruel confinement, of being trapped and observed, had driven him to madness, to a feral rage he couldn't control. But now, seeing the direct consequences of his rampage reflected in his former keeper's chains, in Marcus's broken spirit, something shifted deep within the creature's heart. The wild fury that had consumed him began to recede, replaced by a devastating clarity. It was as if for the first time in years Shadow truly comprehended the suffering he had inflicted, not just on the city, but on the one man who had, however misguidedly, been his connection to the human world. With a final, earth-shaking howl, a sound that seemed to rip through the very fabric of the morning, Shadow turned away from the city. The transformation was complete. The massive wolf began to run, his powerful legs eating up the ground, carrying him away from the wreckage, away from the fear, away from the consequences he now understood. His destination? The distant mountains visible on the horizon, ancient peaks that seemed to call to him, offering a sanctuary of untamed wilderness. Soldiers, rifles still raised, were about to fire, but their commander, a seasoned veteran who had seen too much to act rashly, held up his hand. A silent command. Stop. Everyone watched, stunned into disbelief, as the creature that had terrorized them for days, the monster they couldn't capture, simply left. He chose exile over continued destruction, freedom over captivity, Understanding over blind rage, Shadow ran without stopping, a powerful blur disappearing into the morning light, leaving Ashford City behind forever. He vanished into the ancient forests and majestic mountains, the places where his kind truly belonged, where he could roam free, unburdened by human expectations, and without endangering those who could never truly understand what he was, what he had endured. From her office high above the plaza, the mayor of Ashford City, having witnessed the entire extraordinary spectacle on her television, made an immediate and unexpected decision. "Release Marcus Thornwood," she ordered. The crowd gathered in the plaza, still reeling from Shadow's departure, murmured in surprise. But as understanding slowly dawned, as they processed the profound message delivered by the wolf, many nodded in solemn agreement. The wolf had left because it understood the price of its actions, the cycle of pain it had created. It had chosen to protect its keeper in its own wild way, by removing itself from the equation, by breaking the cycle of destruction. Marcus was freed within the hour, a free man, albeit a broken one, changed forever by the experience. Though he would spend years working tirelessly to repay the city for the damages Shadow had caused, he was no longer the same person. He never owned another exotic animal, never again tried to tame the untamable. Instead, he used his wealth, his newfound wisdom, and his deep understanding of the wild to create something truly meaningful. Sanctuaries. Vast, sprawling reserves where wild creatures could live in their natural habitats, thriving far from human cities, free from cages and human intervention. Sometimes, on quiet nights, Marcus would travel to the edge of the deepest forest he had helped protect, and he would simply listen. And occasionally, carried on the crisp night wind from the distant mountains, he would hear it. A howl, deep, powerful, and utterly free. Shadow had found his true home at last, embracing his wild destiny, and in doing so, he had taught both his keeper and an entire city an unforgettable lesson about the profound cost of trying to cage the wild, and the beautiful power of true understanding and redemption. What an incredible journey, right? It reminds us that sometimes, the greatest lessons come from the most unexpected places. If you loved this story, please give this video a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.